Did it work?
Waiting for it. Waiting for it. Waiting for it to go from offline to live on Twitch.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to mute mine real quick just so I can stay in chat here.
There we go. Going live.
Not popping on my end yet.
Here we go. Ooh, you can see the little bit top of my thing on here. Hold on. Okay. Hopefully that fixes it.
Well, it's loading video.
Yeah?
Hey, look at that.
Cool. Alright, we're all fixed. And chat should be loaded too.
Yep.
Yep. Alright. That should appear on screen in a second.
I'm actually gonna pop chat out because it's gonna be really distracting seeing what you're saying. You saying it 20 seconds after you actually said it.
Yeah. It can be a little bit of work doing the main show. Alright. I think we want to wait just a minute or two here, see if we get a couple more people in.
Hold on.
Let me check. Whoop. There we go. Alright. So let's kick this thing off. You guys ready?
Yep.
Alright, let's start.
You're the boss.
Yeah, let's start it in 3, 2, 1. Welcome to TVGP Game Club number 19 recap. I am here with Nintendork.
Hello.
And the other Jay-Z.
Hey.
And we are here to talk about Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend.
Brutal Legend! Which is just the best, if you haven't played
I don't have a metal impersonation.
That's unfortunate. Everyone should have a little metal voice. You don't even have like a Halford scream?
No.
Ah, it's a shame. Okay, so Brutal Legend is it's a heck of a game, and I've been
Show's over. Thank you for listening.
Good night, everybody.
Yeah, good night.
It's a heck of a game. Thanks for joining, Jay-Z.
I have been burning to talk about this for a while, and we finally found the time to sit down. And Jay-Z, I'm really glad you're here to join us, because the Chicago Meetup podcast went really well. So this will be another fun little addition to your repertoire here.
Well,
You
thanks
can
for
put this on your resume.
Yeah, totally. I wouldn't advise it, actually.
Yeah, little too much Holocaustery. Holocaustery? Yeah.
See, look, we're 2 minutes in and already bringing up the Holocaust again.
Godwin's Law, man. Alright, so, Brutal Legend. This game came out in October of 2009, the 13th in North America, and the 16th in the EU. It came out on the Xbox 360 and PS3. Double Fine later re-released it on PC. It was actually in 2013, February 26th for Windows, and May 7th for Linux. And that is actually what I played it on this time around. I originally played it when it first came out on 360 and had a blast with it. This time I played it on PC with a 360 controller and still had a blast.
Did you notice any differences?
It's sharper. It's a little quicker on PC. I think it's just a difference of hardware. I have a better PC than
load times.
Load times were a lot better, and I have a nicer stereo system hooked up to my PC than I do to my my TV, or the TV I had at the time. Let me put it that way. And it just sounds so great. All the music, all the sounds, everything it hits you perfectly.
What did you play it on, Jay-Z?
Oh, I played it on PC as well. I did play it on Xbox back in the day.
Yeah.
I did come to it late in the party. I don't know why. I didn't get around to it till probably 2011, and I did not make it through the game. So I did play it on it, but I played it through with the 360 controller on PC this run. Did finish it. The The only thing I noticed that was a little weird, and maybe it's just my rig, it seemed like there was a little audio desync in the cutscenes.
That was actually a problem with the PS3 version as well, so that's like a known bug as far as I know. I saw a little bit of that, but not enough for me to even like note on it, to be honest.
And just for the record, in case anybody's keeping score at home, I played on the 360.
Did you make it through?
I did finish it, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I also finished it. This is the second time I finished it. And I'm really glad I did, because I didn't remember as much of that game as I thought I did.
Yeah, that was a big thing for me, too. It was, oh my god, that's right. Oh my god, that's right.
Yeah. So as most people probably know, this game was developed by Double Fine Productions, which is the production studio that Tim Schafer formed after he left LucasArts. So if you don't know Double Fine, you might recognize some of the games they've released, like Psychonauts and Costume Quest and Stacking and Iron Brigade / Trenched and The Cave, or you know them from their wildly successful Kickstarter campaign for Broken Age, which was I think it was the first really huge Kickstarter campaign, if I remember correctly. It was the first to break 1 million.
Yeah, this is way pre-potato salad.
Yeah, let's not even get into
it.
So
we blew through those games pretty quickly. I mean, those aren't light games. Psychonauts is a fantastic game.
Psychonauts is a fantastic game that sold like no copies.
Which is
I
a shame.
bought it and haven't played it. I got like 5 minutes and I was like, this is not grabbing me right now.
I bought it for Xbox and never finished it. I bought it for PS2 and never finished it. And I finally, when they re-released it on PC a few years ago, I finally finished it.
You should have been around for TVGP Plays number 5, Jay-Z.
Yeah.
Because you know what game that was?
I'm going to take a stab in the dark and say it was either Alpha Protocol.
Nope.
A good guess, though.
That was a good guess, but that's not relevant to the discussion.
I'm sorry. I expect it was Psychonauts.
Yeah, yes, it was.
That is true.
Yes, it was. And actually, that's how I played through that game. Was TVGP Plays number 5.
Very cool. So Double Fine is really well known for making really awesome games that sell no copies. Prime examples being both Psychonauts and Brutal Legend, which is sort of what led them to. So Psychonauts and Brutal Legend both sold not as expected. Psychonauts, I don't even know how many copies that moved. I think we've got the stats for Brutal Legend a little bit later.
It was less than 100,000, if I remember right.
I think it was something terrible like that. But that sort of led them to creating these smaller, tighter experiences for downloadable services like Xbox Live Arcade and the PlayStation Network, which led to the first big breakout downloadable game they had was Costume Quest, which is, if you haven't played it, a Halloween-themed JRPG produced by an American company, which is exactly as insane as it sounds.
Well, that sums up their company.
It really does. It's just a very interesting, colorful game, and then you move into games like Stacking, which is a story about Matryoshka dolls, and Trenched / Iron Brigade, which has an interesting story behind why that name changed halfway through, which I played obsessively for a while.
I don't think I've even heard of that.
They gave that game away for free on the 360, didn't they?
I think they did at one point.
Yeah, because I have Iron Brigade.
Yeah, it's really good. Play it. It's awesome.
No, we have. We got really into it. Donnie and Moonpier and Knobs and Tomsy.
Of course you did.
Played a lot of it.
Yeah.
And it is one of those games, though. It to me sums up also not Activision, Double Fine's games. I'm really, really glad it exists. I don't know that I would have bought it.
Yeah.
And that's a shame. I'm really, really happy that Psychonauts existed. Psychonauts might be the pinnacle game, though.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I'm really, really happy I played Brutal Legend. I'm also really, really happy I paid $5 for it.
Yep.
Yeah, I paid the full 60 and I didn't regret a moment of it, but that's for other reasons.
You're a niche. You're the niche audience.
I really am, and it was almost advertised. I felt like it was being advertised directly to me when it was being advertised. But one other cool note about Double Fine that you probably know them from. So every year they do this thing they call Amnesia Fortnight, which I've always found really cool. Whatever projects they're working on, their mainline projects get stopped for 2 weeks, no matter where they are in development, and everyone in the company goes ahead and forms little teams, and they start prototyping all these little downloadable, dream games that they want to do, which is how Double Fine has published so many games between 2011 and 2014. It's this list of something like 10 games in 4 years.
Well, they're not a
And-
huge company either.
No,
right?
they're not. They're a very small company based out of San Francisco. And you have, from Amnesia Fortnite, you got, they even have licensed properties like their Sesame Street game Once Upon a Monster that was made for Kinect. And the currently in, I think it's still alpha, I don't know if it's an official beta, space-based DF9, which if you listen to TVGP, me and Boston have talked about it at length, about it, how basically it's Dwarf Fortress but friendly. But you also have a bunch of other games like the Double Fine Happy Action Theater, and there was a couple other games that came out of that as well, like Hack and Slash.
Double Fine Happy Action Theater sounds like a Japanese game show.
It sort of
was
is.
just thinking that.
Actually, it's just a Kinect game. It's a bunch of Kinect mini games in one collection.
Huh.
So yeah, I mean that has produced some really great things for Double Fine, and it really sort of altered their business model to these smaller downloadable titles. So that's the development team for Brutal Legend. We're going to get into the publishing aspect of Brutal Legend because it's actually really interesting.
Yeah, you're going to need to slow down on this piece for me because I read through what you came up with for this like 3 times, and I'm still not sure I have a hold on it.
Yeah, so this was a really crazy story when it broke. So initially, when Brutal Legend was first in development and they were pitching out to companies, it was picked up by Sierra
Hey,
Entertainment.
hang on. I want to reiterate Jay-Z, Brian. Slow down.
Okay,
You're talking really fast. Slow down.
gotcha.
Take a breath.
He's so excited.
Yeah.
I know he's... Slow down.
So this was originally meant to be published by Sierra Entertainment, who was owned by Vivendi Universal at the time, their games division. And if you remember, in 2008, Activision merged with Vivendi to create Activision Blizzard. That was when that whole big thing happened. And so this gave Activision publishing rights for Brutal Legend. Unfortunately, Activision didn't want to publish Brutal Legend at the time.
Oh, yeah, I remember this.
Didn't
Yeah.
you write they were worried it was going to eat from Guitar Hero sales or something? Which sounds crazy to me.
Almost. So here's the fun part about that. Double Fine did not know that they had been dropped. They didn't realize it until they got a press release from Activision, and Brutal Legend was nowhere to be found on it.
Classy.
They got the Dear Tom letter, or Dear Tom.
Yeah.
Dear John.
Dear
Tom.
John. But it's
No,
not even
Dear
a Dear
Tom.
John letter.
Yeah. And this was for a while after they had been picked up by Activision and they hadn't really said anything. Apparently there had been at some point an idea thrown around that Brutal Legend would become a Guitar Hero game.
Oh, that it was going to merge in. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense.
Which would have been kind of cool, but kind of terrible because on one hand it's like, oh, look at all these metal tracks we've got for Guitar Hero, which I at the time loved. I loved Guitar Hero to no end. At the same time, we wouldn't have gotten the same kind of humor and like fun and characters and stuff. So it's like, all right.
I would have rather seen Double Fine do a Guitar Hero Brutal Legend, a la Aerosmith or Green Day or whatever, where it's just, if you got to merge the two, have Double Fine, make all the jokes, do all the animations, whatever, and then the Guitar Hero guys can come and you can play through the songs or they can work up a story or whatever, and kind of get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
I guess it's a moot point at this juncture, but...
Yeah, it would have been interesting. So after all this happens and they assume they've been dumped by Activision, rumors start to swirl that EA is interested in publishing the game. So it's confirmed in December 2008, and EA was confirmed to be the new publisher for Brutal Legend. However, in early 2009, Activision decided to come back and assert that the EA deal was invalid because they believed they were still in negotiations with Double Fine to publish the game. And later that year, in June, Activision filed a lawsuit to prevent the publishing of Brutal Legend, claiming that they had invested $15 million in the title and still had a valid contract to release the game. The suit also contended that Double Fine had missed a deadline for the game the previous year and had requested more time and an additional $7 million in development fees.
That doesn't sound like them at all.
Yeah, no, not at all. That's not an Activision. We don't call that the Activision or anything.
No.
Double Fine countersued Activision, citing they had abandoned the project before and were trying to harm Brutal Legend during its critical marketing phase. So when this was all happening in June, so June 2009 to October 2009 is the gap between the lawsuit and the release of the game. In June 2009, Brutal Legend was in alpha. It was fully playable, start to finish. It had bugs, it had issues, and they were still creating content for it, but the game was, sort of gelling, and they were getting ready to move into a really heavy marketing phase. So basically, Double Fine's countersuit claimed that Activision hadn't done any of the things they said, and they were just suing to prevent them from being able to effectively market the game properly and to sort of disrupt development at a crucial moment. So let's see, where were we with this?
Is that move to just kind of like, what do they call that? Spoiling the well? Is it, well, we can't make any profit on this, so now you're not going to be able to market it? That kind of thing?
I've got a term that we can't use on the show.
Poisoning the well?
It might rhyme with dock block.
I'm getting all my idioms off by one word.
Yes.
But yes, poisoning the well.
Yeah. So this goes to court, and a ruling was supposed to be made on August 6th. A preliminary ruling from the judge in July reported that they were going to deny Activision's motion to delay the game. But prior to any sort of official ruling, both companies announced that they had reached an out-of-court settlement, because of course they did. And I believe it was Activision basically getting paid a really minimal amount of money to just leave Double Fine alone.
Now, why does Activision in that scenario? I guess my question is, I can understand why. Was it Vivendi?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, EA. Why EA would want to settle, because obviously they go to court and they're in court for a year and a half. They missed their deadline by a year and a half.
Yeah.
Why would Activision be interested in taking that? Just because they went, okay, we ruined your day enough.
I really don't know.
Money.
Yeah, I think that's really the only reason.
But if
It's
it
the
was
only
such
reason
a
they did
small
any
amount,
of it.
you
That's
know?
the only reason they did any of it.
All right.
Absolutely. So as I said, all this happened just as the game was reaching its alpha phase, and a lot of reports from insiders at Double Fine say that this did take a pretty heavy toll on the final stretch of development for the game. One person even went so far as to say that Schaefer had actually written almost 50% of the dialogue between the dropping of the lawsuit and the release of the game. So, like, literally half of that dialogue was written in that space of time.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I was thinking of that backwards. Whoa.
Yes. So that was a heck of a crunch period for him.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like you're writing Final Fantasy VII where you got to do another 75 hours of dialogue, but I mean, this is a very, very dialogue-heavy game.
Absolutely. And it's snappy dialogue, too. It's not bad. It doesn't show in the dialogue, but as, the gameplay kind of feels when you get towards the end, it's suddenly you're at the end, as we can all agree.
Okay, that makes sense.
I don't know.
Then.
I was going to take you to task on that point.
Oh, okay. We'll get to that a little later then.
Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Yeah. So that's how it got published. EA did eventually publish it, but this game went through like 3 or 4 publishers before it finally landed at EA and came out in October of 2009. So let's time travel a little bit back to October of 2009 and see what else came out and how this game was received. So as per Double Fine's, modus operandi, they were received incredibly well. If you look at Metacritic for this game, you're looking at like 74 reviews in the green and good section, and like maybe a handful in like the middling section, and like 1 or 2 that are just bad. Some of the more notable scores of this, apparently the Onion's AV Club gave this a 10 out of 10 according to Metacritic, but I didn't see a score on the page. But it was just an excellent, glowing review from the AV Club.
Is it? I'm not real sure how AV Club kind of breaks up their coverage, but I know that they're real kind of movie-heavy, TV-heavy, music-heavy.
Mm.
Is there the chance that because it was so devoted to metal with a capital M, that maybe there was some crossover when they were writing that? You think?
Absolutely,
yeah.
Almost 100%. I could almost guarantee that.
Okay.
It would be as if Brian wrote the review.
I might as well have. I mean, so IGN gave it a 9 out of 10. Games Radar and GameSpy both gave it 4.5 stars out of 5. Game Informer even gave it an 8 out of 10. However, I wanted to actually note two of the more middling reviews. So IGN and Games Radar both praised it for, this is a wonderful world, one of the quotes from Games Radar is, "The sheer love and enthusiasm that Schafer imparts to Brutal Legends world helps make up for the weaker points, but even the weaknesses aren't a huge problem." Whereas you turn around to Giant Bomb's review, which is a 3 out of 5, which is a solid score. Not a bad score, it's a middle-of-the-road score. The heavy metal fantasy world of Brutal Legend and the characters that populate it are far more well-realized and engaging than the ambitious but flawed gameplay. It's basically the same quote, but from two totally different reviews.
Yeah, I agree with both of those statements 100% and don't see how you go 40% off thinking the same thing. You know?
Exactly. So it was a bit of a divisive game from that aspect.
I think I can take a stab at answering your question, Jay-Z. It just depends on how heavily emphasized you put gameplay over, say, story and world.
Yeah.
If you weight the gameplay heavier than the other site, one site weights gameplay heavier than the other site, then you can say the same thing about a game, but you can come away with two different scores or two different impressions.
Yeah, absolutely. And honestly, the more I listen to Giant Bombcast, those guys definitely weigh the gameplay over stuff like story a lot of the times.
Well, I don't know anything really about how they work there, but they do a ton of games. Yeah. So I wonder if you don't really have as much time to get invested.
There's no way.
Yeah.
I mean, because you got to get the next quick look out. We got 2 podcasts this week,
Yep.
There's no way.
So Destructoid also gave it a fairly middling score. They gave it a 6 out of 10, and basically said, again, Brutal Legend should be one of the greatest video games ever made. The key word here is should. So they're not terribly fond of it, but I'm not terribly fond of Destructoid. So
I happen to agree. I happen to agree with those middle of the road reviews.
Yeah.
Especially the Destructoid one where they say it should be. I feel like the game should be a lot better.
It should be.
Than it was. I feel like I should like it a lot more, and I feel like I should want to recommend it a lot more than I
That's
did.
My big takeaway, is it's got that sort of core, that shining core in the center of Black Angel Wings or something like that. That is just so awesome, but I don't know that I can go to someone who isn't as huge a fan of metal as Hannah or I am and say, you gotta play this, because a lot of my enjoyment of the game was based on throwing up the horns at my computer desk because that was so metal, or recognizing a voice. We'll get to that later, but
yeah,
it's tough to recommend to someone who doesn't love the genre of music.
It is. Yeah. So according to VG charts, Brutal Legend has sold about 1.83 million copies, which for a Tim Schafer game is excellent.
Gangbusters.
That's insane for the types of games he makes. But for an EA game, that's really tiny numbers. So unfortunately, once again,
what I'd like to know is, that number in and of itself doesn't tell us anything. What we need to know is two things. One, what did Schafer expect to sell?
Yes.
And Schafer and EA.
Yeah.
What did they expect to sell, and how much did they need to sell? So.
Yeah,
those are numbers we don't know.
Absolutely.
There's a lot of voice actors, like famous voice actors in here,
mm-hmm.
but they're all guys that, and I don't want to bring them up prematurely, but there was the one dude, the Hunter, where I went, hey, that looks just like, and then that guy's voice came out of the guy.
Yeah.
And I was, it's clear that all these celebrities wanted to be in the game, so I'm sure they didn't blow a huge budget on them, but these guys still got to get paid,
Well, so there's an interesting story behind that, which I think I'll just, if you don't mind, I can sort of go into now. It's only a minute or so. It explains why all these guys joined the voice acting crew.
Yeah.
So they landed Jack Black early, and Jack Black through Tenacious D and just generally being a fan and being a movie star, has access to those people. And once Jack Black was on board, it was sort of a domino effect of, oh yeah, let's get this guy and these guys, and we'll go into the literally all stars of metal cast that ended up in the game. But Jack Black was the first domino that fell because he is Eddie Riggs. He is the main character, and once that fell into place, everything else came tumbling down.
And by that you mean Jack Black is Eddie Riggs. That's just his personality.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Now, who started that on the music side? I would assume probably Ozzy.
I don't
Got
know.
that ball rolling?
I don't know. I think it might have been Dio, actually.
Oh, okay.
So,
I could see that.
Yeah. So, yeah, 1.83 million. Not bad sales numbers. Not good enough to get a sequel ever, apparently.
I'm not sure.
Okay, let's talk about that. Does this game need a sequel?
Yeah, I think it stands on its own.
It does stand
I don't
on
think it
its
does.
own.
I don't know what you would do with it.
I just want more of that world. Personally, I just want more songs, more metal. More metal's always better. That's how I feel.
I think what you would end up with is Ghostbusters 2 and not Toy Story 2.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably.
I think you would get your sequel and you'd go, I really like it because I'm a hardcore fan, but if you were trying to be objective, you'd go, oh, maybe we shouldn't have done this.
Yeah, fair enough. I could see that.
That's what I meant when I said it stands on its own. It's Brutal Legend is encapsulated, it has a good ending, and let's just enjoy it for what it is.
Yeah.
And there's something to that, too. There's something to that wanting more that is nice, that we often don't get.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really kind of almost a refreshing thing that you would have that feeling.
Yeah.
As opposed to being in the Gears of War universe, or a Halo universe, or a Call of Duty universe, where every year or every other year there's another iteration.
You forgot the most important one, Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed, yeah.
We're getting 2 this year, I think, right?
Yeah, supposedly, and that's going to be real interesting.
I mean, you don't want that effect at all. But
yeah,
I think having one solid game, and there's nothing wrong with this game. There's nothing even remotely wrong with it in terms of where I don't know where I was going with that. Never mind.
Yeah, fair enough.
Because there are some things wrong with it.
Yes.
But what I'm getting at is it's not broken. You've got a great. If you're a metal fan like you, Brian, this game is probably really, really good.
Yep. Yeah, it's super good. Because you're never going to find another game like this because Schaefer knows his metal. He is true cult. So let's get into the marketing of this game. It had some really interesting stuff happen for the marketing, mainly because of Jack Black. But it was officially announced on the October 2007 cover of Game Informer with a big feature article. I actually remember getting that issue and being way too excited about getting a copy of Game Informer. Which is weird because no one ever really got excited to get Game Informer back in the day because it was just like, oh yeah, right, I shop at GameStop. Ugh.
Yeah. Well, if you have the card, you can get the magazine that the store publishes.
Yeah. That
advertises the games they sell and gives awesome reviews on every game that comes out. If you got that,
and they're praying more or less to a battle axe.
Yep.
And then they turn and reveal themselves as demons. They're not human beings. And so the gameplay at this point, this is really the first moment you get in control of anything.
Yeah.
And you have to run away from the demons. You have to get up on stage and grab the battle axe.
And that's when Children of the Grave starts?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, buddy.
And then it kicks in once you pick up the axe. It kicks into the full song.
Yes!
Such a great moment.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So the battle axe gets a name called the Separator.
Yep.
Is that because it separates the head from the body? Is that
I think that's the joke
connection
there.
here?
Yeah.
I don't think there's
or the lack thereof.
I don't think there's a layer there. I think that's just the joke.
So then the gameplay involves you slaying the druids, and this is real hacky, slashy gameplay.
Very much so.
Button combos and things of that nature. It's all very tutorial. The gameplay will stop, and you will get a splash screen that will tell you hit BBA or whatever it is. And
the splash screen is actually doodles in a composition book.
Yeah.
Pages
You're
on
right, which is great.
Yep.
So then you fight through a couple of rounds of druids, and then that leads you to the. Oh, I made a note here. So we have to run away from the druids. And did you all pick up on Eddie's running dialogue where he's talking about not being their master, but he knows the emperor, and he's here to tell them to take the day off, that they don't have to be at work today.
Absolutely.
I forgot that one.
Yeah.
Again, hilarious. But I'm sorry, I don't want to be Debbie Downer, but how does he know about the emperor at this point?
I think they do say something about it.
They might have been chanting. Your default position when you see dudes in robes with daggers praying at an altar, there's probably an emperor somewhere.
Yeah, but aren't we going to get a scene here in a little bit with Ophelia where she explains to him what the emperor is and who he is?
Well, you know.
Again, look, this is just me
there's a
being
burger
really,
joint on
really.
this street. Might be Burger King. I'll find out more about it when I get there.
Yeah.
This is just me being really, really picky.
Fair
And
enough.
it's not even actual dialogue. It's just him running around, and as you're running around, this is the in-game running chit chat.
Did either of you guys use subtitles?
Yeah, all the time. Every game I play.
I do too. And this was not closed captions. This was subtitles. Everything that made a noise got the word at the bottom of the screen. I was like, ah. I was a little irritated by that.
I must have played with them off because I don't remember everything popping up.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Okay.
engine revs, enemy has been hit kind of stuff.
So we run around a little bit, kill some druids, and then we get introduced to the other weapon at your disposal, which is fittingly a guitar.
Yeah. Your other
And his
axe.
guitar is named. Thank you. That's actually the connection I should have made. And the guitar is named Clementine.
Yeah. It
Is there a joke here or anything? Because I don't find one.
It sounds weird in a world where The Walking Dead has since come out. I'll say that.
Yeah. No,
It
there's-
does strike me as a strange name, but I didn't know if there was a deeper meaning that.
I don't know if there is a deeper meaning. I just know, you got guys out there that'll name their guitar. Guys name their boats after women, stuff like that. I think that's the same idea. I named this guitar after someone I knew.
Okay.
But there may be a deeper level there. I just don't know about it.
So it's
Stonehenge,
It's
except
called,
it's all giant swords, right?
and I'm going to mispronounce this horribly, but it's Sverd i Fjell, I think. And in English that means swords in rock. And if you look that up, it is literally giant stone swords.
You want to spell that so people can find it?
It's SVERD space I space FJELL.
It's cool.
Oh, that is awesome.
Right? It is Bladehenge.
That is awesome.
All right, so Eddie says that they're going to have a big powwow and a big flagon of mead, believing he is in medieval times,
Yeah.
which maybe, I guess that's when it's supposed to be set. I don't know. I found it funny, again, that he makes this comment about a flagon of mead.
I like that they don't ever define where he is. I find that great because they're just like, what? No.
Yeah.
Well, if you
All
find
right.
that in Pennsylvania or something, and then it brings in the whole, Mormon thing that Jesus was there back in the day, and that's just, it doesn't belong in the game.
Jay-Z, you have a way of taking things to a whole new level.
Yeah.
Bringing in the Holocaust and, what was it, the Mormons.
But I'm sorry, it was upstate New York, not Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
These are things I didn't think we were going to discuss on this show.
I'm a wild card, baby.
Just don't jump out the back of the van, man.
All right, so our objective is to go to Bladehenge, but we do have access to the entire continent. So did you all explore at this point?
Oh yeah, I did a bunch of side quests. I got the first Hunter quest. I knew what I was in for because I've played this before, so I was like, all right, before I go to Bladehenge, I'm going to knock out some of these smaller side quests. Oh yeah, these are terrible. I'm going to not do that. And
Okay.
did some exploring and was like, oh yeah, the bound serpents, and oh yeah, the legend orbs. What are those called again? The ancient legends or something like that?
Oh, I closed it because we said it twice, and I thought, oh, I'll remember that.
Yeah,
I'll
but we
come up with
won't.
it again.
Yeah.
The lore things,
Yeah. Are
The somethings of
really
legend?
cool. I love those.
I only saw one.
So
And it was really cool.
So it's like this. It's the creation myth, and like it's like the
Right.
Bible of this world. And they're talking about how Ormagodon was the great fire beast, and he his, metal skin became the earth, and his, lava blood became the seas, and just his roar became heavy metal. And it is like the heavy metal creation myth. And I love it.
I wish I got to see more. Like I said, I didn't figure out the Earthshaker thing to get to that until right at the end of the game. And at that point, I didn't care so much.
Mm-hmm.
I really just wanted to get to the end.
Yeah, absolutely.
I just put a link in chat. Don't open that, guys, but because it's loud. But that's all those cutscenes from all the Artifacts of Legend pushed together.
Yeah.
Okay,
it's
great.
Really cool.
It's the Legends of Brutal Legend.
Yeah.
We should snip that and put that in the forums.
Absolutely. And those are all really cool. I did explore a little bit at this point, but I knew, how much I had ahead of me, so I did eventually just go, all right, I'm going to go to Bladehenge.
All right, so we end up at Bladehenge. Oh, Jay-Z, you didn't have a chance to comment. Did you explore very much at this point, or did you go straight to Bladehenge?
I was treating this playthrough kind of a lot like a sprint instead of a marathon.
Fair enough.
I was going to, I investigated the side missions.
Which is who looks great. She's
Yeah.
made of almost like car parts.
Yeah.
Car parts and all chrome.
All
She's a giant
chrome.
chrome
Yes.
spider.
Yeah.
Yes. And how did you guys deal with this boss battle before I give you how I
Not
dealt
well.
with it? Me either.
Yeah, it took me a few tries.
It took me, and I didn't actually figure it out. The game told me, oh, hey, when the engine opens up, use your electric attack.
Oh, you
Yeah.
went to Ninja
That's like-
Dog mode.
Oh, thanks.
You know
So-
what? This felt like a Zelda battle. It felt like a Goma fight.
Yeah.
Yeah. I could see that. And it was one of those things where once it told you that, and once you knew what to do, the battle went quickly.
Yeah.
It was done. I just ran around forever going, how do I kill it? What do I do? So
Yeah.
I'm swinging at things. Nothing's happening.
Yeah, definitely could use some more tutorials.
So at least the game eventually had pity on you and told you,
Yeah.
hey, do this. So I thought the boss battle was pretty simple once you figured it out, and afterwards we then have to get back to the top of the mountain where the Killmaster is. Only all of a sudden now we're running out of time.
Yeah, because Ophelia's dying, man.
But what I find interesting about, and this is like video game logic, right?
It is.
You have all the time in the world to get there and to defeat the queen. But once you defeat the queen, then it's your time to get back. So very much video game logic. But Eddie he improvises. He goes all MacGyver here. He builds a motorcycle out of the spare parts in the lair.
Yeah, he does.
And you use that to ride back up to the Killmaster. It's a timed event. I ended up in plenty of time. I wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah,
They
same
were
here.
much more
Wasn't
kinder for after the boss fight than during.
Okay, so the Killmaster uses these new gigantic heavy bass strings, and he ends up healing Ophelia.
Mm-hmm.
And then Eddie cocks the Killmaster into joining the band. I mean, army. And then he says he'll hook the Killmaster up with a T-shirt for doing that. Which,
Such a roadie.
yeah, exactly. Hilarious. All right. That ends that chapter. We end up back at Bladehenge.
Of course.
It's where we're going to end up all over again,
Yep.
repeatedly. The next chapter is called To the Slaughter, and this is, in essence, a setup chapter again, where we kind of get introduced to the girls, and we kind of equip them with weapons.
Yeah.
And the gist of this mission is Eddie drives out to meet Ophelia, who introduces him to the Razor Girl.
Wait, Scott, hold up a second. It sounds like your mic switched off to the Kinect.
Oh,
And now you're gone altogether.
he's turning the controller back on. I'm sure it'll
Oh.
kick in right after that.
Sorry.
Do we got him again?
All right, I'm back.
Yeah.
Hey.
Sorry about that.
I got real interesting there.
Didn't touch my controller. So, so Eddie meets up with Ophelia out there in a field where the Razor Girls are, and as Jay-Z was saying, these Razor Girls are typical 80 girls. I mean, spot on.
All blonde, all dyed
Yep.
blonde hair.
Yep.
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 You know, the tight white
Permed.
softball shirt, feathered out.
Permed.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, so to arm them, we play the next little bit of the game by, what do they call it? Corralling, I think is the word I'm looking for.
Yeah.
The Razor Fire boars. You end up driving the Deuce and herding them along